The national media just found a new way to tamper with the Big 12 by dropping a recruit's overall grade as soon as they commit to you out of the transfer portal. This is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. We will start with the machine is only growing stronger. ESPN 24/7, cutting your recruits' grades, their ranking, after they come to a Big 12 school, specifically in cases with BYU. We'll also get into Arkansas. What's left of its roster after holdouts will get absolutely crushed by Texas Tech. I think even Arkansas fans have accepted that fact. And Iowa State will hammer Miami again due to opt-outs in that bowl game. If you hit subscribe, I get to keep my job. Not surprising that ESPN 24/7 are out to get the Big 12. We've talked about that all week. It's not a conspiracy. We've confirmed it. Now, as someone who's tired of talking about it, I hope you're tired of hearing about it. They have created a new way to hurt the Big 12 Conference. This pointed out by Cougar Stats, furthered by Jeff Fuller, who says this is seriously jacked up. Tausili Akana was a Texas commit out of Lehigh, Utah, who went to Texas as a 4-star, 94 overall, spent 2 years with the Longhorns. You would think after 2 years in a program where Akana was maybe not a contributor, but somebody who was with a college football playoff roster, he would enter the portal as a 4-star, just as he went to UT. And most players in their first 2 years don't play at a school with the acumen like UT, as much as it pains me to say that. Now, 3-star, 85 overall. How? Jeff makes the case here, and this is happening across the Big 12, not just BYU, across the Big 12. Several of the off-quoted predictive ranking rating systems, such as ESPN's FPI, factor in team talent. This is where the collusion is. They factor in team talent levels and recruiting rankings into the algorithm. This has a direct effect on strength of schedule. If he stayed at Texas, Jeff says, he would have continued to be counted as a 94 talent, a high 4-star. But he transfers to BYU, massively downgraded to an 85. That's a mid to low 3-star. There are lots of reports and evidences that some of these recruiting systems work to varying degrees on a pay-to-play or an inside job system and regularly up or downgrade recruits based on where they end up committing. Oh, you're going to Texas? We'll give you 4 stars. Now, Texas, they become a more formidable opponent on paper for somebody else in the SEC. That's how we want to grade you. Oh, you're going to BYU? That same player who is a high 4-star. Oh, you're going to Texas Tech? Oh, you're going to Baylor? You're going to TCU? You're going to UCF? Well, we can't grade you as high anymore. You can't be a 4-star anymore because you're not going to Texas. Because Texas doesn't want you or you don't want them. Fuller continues. The 24/7 ranking I just saw was even more drastic. They had him as a 96 originally, now an 85 and 11-point drop. Not saying it should be a 96. But Texas getting the benefit of a 96 on his roster, on their roster, who wasn't even playing, but a massive downgrade because he's in the portal. This helps boost Texas transfer portal ranking too, since they are getting rid of an 85 and can sign a higher rated transfer and get the boost of a net positive trade. Isn't that interesting? Goes 2 years and you think he's just not at all going to be developed? How about a Michigan? Can you think, okay, one off here. How about Michigan? A kid who played on the offensive line, a couple of starts on the offensive line, Andrew Gentry, goes to Michigan, 24/7, rates him a 96 overall, a high 4-star. We are teetering on the brink of a 5-star. He's on a national championship team. He's in packages on that team, a contributor for the Wolverines. But then he goes in the transfer portal, and this kid who's gotten legitimate playing time at one of the best programs over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, he goes into the portal, high 4-star, starting tackle. He's docked 10 points when he goes to BYU. What? So when he was on Michigan's roster, he got to be a 96 overall. Well, if you look at it from like an EA Sports 25, college ball 25 standpoint, he's a 96 overall when he's at Michigan. Goes in the portal, goes to BYU after contributing for a national championship. Like, well, shoot, if he's going to leave Michigan, We need to help Michigan by dropping his rating down so they don't lose that good of a player, and hurt BYU because now they're bringing in a middle of the pack 3-star at 6'7", 327 pounds, who was playing for a national championship team. Can you help me? Can you help me understand? College Football Home responds to this by saying, this is how team talent, which then impacts strength of schedule, is determined. So Texas got 2 years of team talent benefit from having him on the roster. This is back to Akana. Didn't develop him at all, apparently. And now BYU gets a worse team strength for the same guy. Glad ESPN wants this over who wins games. That is, and this all 24/7 to Rivals to On3 to ESPN. What they want to do is find little ways. So they've been very apparent in the last couple of weeks. They don't care about the Big 12. They want Texas Tech. They want Utah. They want UCF. They want Baylor. They want West Virginia out of their hair. Cincinnati, Houston, they don't care. They want you out of their hair. They're not the only guy that really matters to them. Maybe in the Big 12 is Deion Sanders. Outside of that, which I'm awesome. Thank God we have something here. Everybody else, ESPN doesn't give a rip. But it's not just the blatant ways in which they do it. It's not just Kirk Herbstreit going behind a microphone and saying, well, the wins shouldn't matter. We should stop looking at wins. It's also in somehow the recruiting and the way they rate these players. They will find a guy on your bench. They will find a guy on Texas bench, and they will somehow dock you points for that kid while boosting Texas for a second-string guy who won't play. Why? He was a 4-star out of high school. We can't rate him any differently because he's been there for 2 years. But the second he steps foot off campus and wants to go to your Big 12 school, 24/7, boop, 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 10-point drop. How? Will it stop? No. Will there be an end to this? Of course not. But the strength of schedule machine, I kept asking, how do we decide strength of schedule? Why can't we all just start beginning of the season at 0? Everyone's strength of schedule is at 0. Well, no, we have to have some sort of basis because then a win against UAB would be the same as a win against number 8 Georgia or whoever. Okay? Well, then why does that number 16 next to USC or that number 9 next to Michigan, why does that get to be factored into your strength of schedule when at the end of the season it was a cakewalk, something that was easy for you? Why is that the case? Whereas a competitive win against Arizona State is factored in as, Arizona State wasn't ranked and they weren't that good. What? I didn't understand, I guess, how they could do that, justify that with strength of schedule. But this is what they do. They say that, you played a really good opponent because they had a roster full of 4 and 5 stars. But the second that 4 or 5 star wants to come to your school, they're not that good. Yeah, they didn't really contribute that much, and they probably regressed over the course of their well, I know that yesterday when they were on the roster, they weren't regressed, and they were still at a 4-star, or arguably a 5-star, 96 overall. But now they're gone. Of course, they didn't get better over the course of those 2 years, even when they were playing or starting for Michigan. So now they're on your team. Let's just call them an 86, and that'll be the end of it. This is happening across the Big 12. It's happening across the board with conferences that don't get respect. So your high school rating that you get, you're the benefactor. Texas is the benefactor. Great. It is absurd what they're doing right now. I don't know. I mean, I said it last week, open your eyes. I think everybody's eyes are open. But from here, what do? Sit back and watch Greg Sankey just wave his wand? And Kirk Herbstreit says, yes, I will. I'll do whatever you ask me to. That's today in college football. Coming up, Arkansas will get boat raced. SEC. My butt. This is Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. I told FanDuel the other day I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to win by 1 million points. 1 million points against the Houston Texans. FanDuel said, all right, money where your mouth is, kid. So I tossed a little bit on the old Baltimore Ravens. They won by effectively 1 million points. Right now, the NFL playoffs are almost here. At the end of the regular season, go to America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel. Right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's right. So many ways to pick up a W. I love betting on which players will score a touchdown. I had Derrick Henry, touchdown. Boom, cash, ka-ching, like first score of the game, and he nailed it. Not only can you bet on that, you can also bet on team total score. So I wanted Ravens over 25, ka-ching. Thank you very much. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Arkansas will get boat raced by Texas Tech. If you're an Arkansas fan and you've stumbled upon this somehow, I need you to recommend. I'm in Valonia, Arkansas, right? Got my Razorback stuff on the wall over here. Huge Hogs fan growing up. This was my hit that line, sing the whole fight song. And I love watching Razorback football. What I hate is an administration that doesn't want you to be good at football or to watch good quality football. So Sam Pittman's still the head coach. That's a moot point. For Texas Tech fans, here's why I know you're going to win against Arkansas. Here's why, for me, I had an opportunity. I had tickets to this game. Go watch those Hogs. Come on, man. We'll go. All our old buddies from high school. And I said, what Hogs? This is a high school team. This is a bunch of transfer portal guys that have left, paving the way for some kid you've never heard of to step on the field against Texas Tech players who have played 3-4 years. Will Hammond, he'll be out there for Texas Tech as someone who doesn't have a ton of experience at quarterback. So then I'm thinking, okay, maybe Arkansas's got a shot. Is there any way that Arkansas can do it? Oh, wait, Jaquindon Jackson gone. Andrew Armstrong, no, he's not going to play. The Hoskins, no. The roster for Arkansas doesn't really exist. I did a little Google machine and I said, Arkansas bowl game up. Oh, that's a long list. No one's playing. You just retained the head coach, Sam Pittman, who I've had on shows before, who I love, who should be an advisor for the program, live in Fayetteville forever. Go eat at the Catfish Hole, Pat and Janie Gonzola. Great. Be the football coach. Texas Tech fans. I know I'm speaking a lot to the Arkansas fans here. It's just because I want you to know how confident you should be. This is going to be a rout. There's not going to be a competitive aspect to this game. Every player on Arkansas's roster, it feels like, has entered the transfer portal or said, yeah, I'm going to sit out and wait for the NFL draft. The Taylor Green kid's going to play. The quarterback's going to play. Too bad he has no one to throw the ball to. Who's going to play offensive line? Maybe a couple guys out there. Who's he going to, like, the backup tight end gone, the backup wide receiver gone, the starting wide receiver sitting out. I don't even know. It's crazy to me. I wonder about the one Arkansas kid who went in the portal, out of the portal, in the portal, out of the snip, snap. Maybe he'll play. I did. And they're just going to keep handing him the ball. For Texas Tech, sure. They've got a couple of opt-outs themselves. They've got a couple transfer portal guys. But nobody, the punter's gone. But nobody that I'm looking at and going, yeah, Micah Hudson's gone. Didn't do anything this year. Jalen Peoples, yeah, okay. I'll give it to you. Hey, what about Baron Morton's not playing, had surgery? Yeah, for sure. But again, Will Hammond, freshman quarterback at Texas Tech, reminds me of a young Baron Morton. Drops back to pass. Looking deep. He can throw to any one of the 4 wide receivers because there's no defense. There are no corners on the field. The entire team said, we're not playing this football game. SEC. It just means more. It just means more transfer portal entries. It just means more players sitting out. Pains me to say. It pains Joey McGuire, who grew up an Arkansas Razorback fan, and he said all week long, man, I love that Woo Pig. I love hearing it. I hope we don't hear it much after pregame on Saturday. We won't. Our team, our Texas Tech team, plans to win. It pains him to beat a school that he rooted for. But this is just the state of where Arkansas football is that Texas Tech should boat race the Hogs. Analytically, here's what's great. Texas Tech, 23rd best rushing offense in America. Taj Brooks, who I do believe will play, hasn't come out at the time of recording, explicitly said that. I do believe he will play. Arkansas's rush defense, 44th in the country. That's a 21 team gap there, okay? Passing the football, Tech, 44th. That equates to your wide receivers, your quarterback, everybody, all things involved. 44. Arkansas, with all of its cornerbacks, 69th in the country. Very nice, not great. Texas Tech, offensively, 16th on 3rd and 4th down. Late downs, they are nails. Arkansas's defense, 51st on late downs. They just kind of roll over. Tech is great at pulling great field position, 20th in the country. Arkansas, 113th at field position allowed. Tech on defense, 31st against the pass. Arkansas, 53rd throwing the football. And again, Green drops back, which he doesn't do too often. Green drops back, wants to sit in the pocket and not run it. He's looking downfield. Oh, no, he's the only player on the field. He's been sacked. And where Arkansas had an opportunity to take advantage of this game, 31st rushing offense in the country, Tech's defense 47th against the run. Tech is not very solid defensively. Arkansas's entire running back room said, there's the time. See ya. So I'm reading That's what I hate about this. It's like even the third and fourth down thing for Arkansas, 36th on offense. Pretty good. Tech 63rd on defense on late downs. Not great. Maybe that's a part where Arkansas could just slither the way in and find a way to win it. No. And I don't know who. Maybe the empty stadium will benefit Arkansas. Go back to that Ole Miss game where I had the opportunity to go to that too. I was like, yeah, maybe I'll just stick this on. I'll sit at home. And I think I went to Baylor and TCU instead, Big 12 game. I was like, okay, go home, see the hometown team that I love, or go to Baylor TCU. I went to Baylor, so I went to the Baylor game. And I'm glad I didn't go to the Arkansas game against Ole Miss because the entire fan base left at halftime. It was such a blowout. And I wonder, the lack of a crowd in Memphis at the Liberty Bowl, will it benefit Arkansas? Because they're used to playing in front of pretty empty stadiums. SEC. It's just the state of the program right now. Arkansas also lost to Oklahoma State. Don't know if you guys, after the game, saw what Oklahoma State looked like the rest of the year. 0-9 in Big 12 play. You lost to them. Their only major win this year was against an SEC opponent. Oh, and by the way, that 0-9 in conference play, it's kind of the only reason Arkansas is in a bowl game, because you don't get the opportunity to go 0-9. You get the opportunity to go 0-8. Arkansas has one less conference game than everybody else in major college football. They play 8 instead of 9. It's a cheat code in the SEC just to boost that conference. That's what we're looking at. You lost to Oklahoma State, who Texas Tech hung half 100 on this season. Enough guys are playing for the Red Raiders. The entire Hogs team is sitting out. They've given up on the head coach. The university has given up on you, the fans. They don't care about being good at football. They don't care about being elite. They've settled. Ole Miss can be good after a bunch of years of sucking. Well, we can't. Alabama was mediocre before Nick Saban. Yeah, but no, it won't happen. We'll never be Alabama. A&M in 1 year, snap, turn it all around, even as the B school in their state. But Arkansas, we don't have we're gonna be okay. We're over here. We're good. Yep, that's it. I'm just Texas Tech fan. Sorry that I had to vent there for a second to the Arkansas faithful. That's just born and raised. So I hope that my spiel to Arkansas, the Arkansas Razorbacks of the world, gives you a whole lot of confidence going into this game. Coming up, let's talk Iowa State hammering Miami. Arkansas, you're not alone. Miami's got enough opt-outs that it's going to be ugly. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is where I get all my tickets. The lowest price is guaranteed as well. And I saw that I could go see Arkansas and Texas Tech, or I could go see Wyatt Flores play at Billy Bob's in Fort Worth. And I said, let's go with the Billy Bob's option because it was actually cheaper than the bowl game. And with Game Time picks, it was even cheaper than that. Seat views, get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Or Game Time, if you can find a lower price, will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage is the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is Game Time. Visit the Game Time app and do it. Join me at the Wyatt Flores concert today.
What about, talk to me about Iowa State's roster. It seems like most of Miami's guys are suiting up for this. Very few opt-outs. Now, we'll see as the week goes on if anybody changes their mind. We're recording this very early in the week, but it sounds like Cam Ward's playing, and then basically everybody else has said, well, if he's playing, I'm playing, right? He's a top 5 pick. I can go out there and play too then. What's Iowa State's roster look like? Not only from the portal, but just any opt-outs, anybody not playing in this game?
Yeah, for Iowa State right now, it's Rocco back. He's kind of leading the same charge, but a much younger guy doing it, saying, guys, let's go play. And from Jaden Higgins to Jalen Knoll, I do believe you'll see Iowa State at full force. They didn't like the taste that the Big 12 championship left in their mouth. So what they're going to do is open this bowl game at, again, full strength. The goal is for Matt Campbell to get an extra win, the 11th win. It'll be the most in program history. They can build off their 10-win season, which they had never done before. Rush the field when they hit that milestone against Kansas State. And now against Miami, you also have an opportunity to not just win 11 games, but help put your conference on your back. The entire Big 12 is rooting for Iowa State to win this game and rooting for the players to go play. I mean, you've got NFL caliber talent across the board, offense and defense for Iowa State, as does Miami. If both rosters are at full strength, I think this is a great matchup and great for college football to show that bowl games still mean something. While Iowa State fans are disappointed they lost the Big 12 championship game, there's still something to play for. I believe the players and Matt Campbell, who I got to talk with on location a couple of weeks ago prior to that Big 12 title, listening to him speak, he's in. He's bought in. The players, conversely, are doing the exact same for this bowl game. I believe that Iowa State and Miami will be a true representation of what both Iowa State and Miami can offer in 2024.
Do you think that we've seen teams lose games and it impact them later? Now, there's been a long layoff since the teams were playing in the Big 12 championship. Do you view the Big 12 championship as Arizona? We haven't talked about it since then, but just Arizona State just being incredibly hot and kind of unstoppable? Was Iowa State, is that kind of their propensity to maybe lose a game like that? Like, matchup with Miami, certainly not easy. Or do you think they bounce back from it?
Yeah, Iowa State hit a lull there in that third part of the season. If you break it into fourths, that game's 6 through 8. They hit a lull, and I was worried about if they ever really catch back up. They did. Their final stretch there after the Kansas loss was really solid. That Kansas State win, namely at home. So I thought they had momentum. This wasn't a case of, a very hot Arizona State team beats a middling or a struggling Iowa State team. No, two schools that I felt like were at full force when at it in the Big 12 title. That just shows that if Arizona State had to go attack the Death Star, they were going to at least have a shot based on all of that momentum they collected in their win streak there late in the year. So I'm not worried about Iowa State because of that loss, given the fact that the buzzsaw of the Sun Devils ran through everybody over the course of the back half of this season. So I'm not worried about Iowa State. I'd be more worried about Miami, who thought it was a lock for the ACC championship game, who was ready to go compete for the college football playoff, who all they had to do was win one game, and they're probably in the field. And they said, you know what? Never mind, we're good. We'll send Clemson instead. That's a school, that's a team far more demoralized than Iowa State, who got to the Big 12 title and didn't know that they would be there until midnight the week before, the Saturday before. For Miami, they always expected they would be in their conference title game, and instead it was SMU and Clemson, and they had to sit at home. I think that's a team reeling from momentum much more than Iowa State.
Yeah, I wonder what their motivation is, right? Does Miami kind of say, we will prove, kind of the Florida State narrative from last year? Well, you could have proved everybody wrong that you should have been in or that you shouldn't have lost this game. And does Miami have that? Because if they have that, they're a tough team to beat, no doubt. But if any of it is not there, if any of the doubt creeps in, because their last half of the schedule was not great, or their last quarter, sorry. If any of that creeps in, are they in trouble? So I do wonder what Miami's motivation is in this. Past motivation, though, does enter Cam Ward. And so obviously could be the first quarterback taken in the draft. We'll see what happens there, where he ends up. But maybe the best quarterback in the country this year. I know people will say Gabriel Sanders, other things, but really, really good play. Is Iowa State's secondary equipped to somewhat slow that pretty high-powered offensive attack down?
Iowa State's secondary is one of my favorite parts of the entire roster against the drop back this season. They are 10th in the country in efficiency ratings, this per College Football Insider. So if there's one area that I do like the Cyclones, it's their secondary. And this year, that is what was their bell cow of their ratings on offense and defense, both on against the offense and with their own offense. They were the best categories. What I'm trying to put together is their secondary. And so I'm not too worried about Cam Ward, and I'm not too worried about this, what you mentioned, TJ, will to play or why they want to be out there. Miami can go have fun. Iowa State is more so business in these scenarios, and here's why. The state of Iowa is not known for football success. Iowa State is not known for football success. First 10-win season ever was this year. Miami, the U, they've won national titles. Their expectation was a college football playoff. They fell short. If they win a bowl game, all right, great. We'll just kind of put that trophy in the back of the closet behind all of our national championship trophies. For Iowa State, they will always have something to play for in a bowl game. The more you win historically, the less a bowl game like this matters. And it might matter for a Cam Ward or that starting left guard who's a senior playing his last game. I guarantee you it does. But by and large, on the whole, there aren't a lot of Miami fans fired up for this. They don't care about playing Iowa State. Conversely, the Cyclones, inversely, I should say, the Cyclones want to win. Their fan base wants to be there. This is all about glory, which is something that's lost for most college football teams, especially those teetering on the edge of blue blood, as Miami very well may be. For Iowa State, they've been overlooked for decades, rightfully so most of the time. Now that they're actually good, winning means even more in these scenarios.
Miami's defense certainly has some holes in it. Teams have put up inordinate amount of points this year, whether it's Virginia Tech or Cal or Georgia Tech with backup quarterbacks, Syracuse. They have absolutely lit that defense up. And to me, that's the biggest question is how well do they play? And can Iowa State's offense rebound from a tough performance in the Big 12 championship? What are your expectations for, you mentioned Rocco, and that offense against a Miami defense that certainly has struggled at times this year?
Yeah, Miami, honestly, they grade pretty well, which was surprising to me on both sides of the defense. That is against the rush and against the pass. 15th against the run, 19th against the drop back in the country efficiency-wise. And to me, it shows a Miami team that you really dig down in the analytics isn't as bad as many of us would like to say they are, though they're untimely. They're I don't want to say unlucky, just untimely. When it matters the most, Miami's like, you know what, guys, I'm sorry. I was kind of going to take a back seat and you can go ahead and have whatever touchdowns you want. And you see that in the way that they were falling apart in late games, and you see that opposing teams come back on them when it mattered the most because they just, I don't know if they gave up or what it was. That clutch gene wasn't there for the Canes when given an opportunity again to go to the college football playoff. For Iowa State, 21st in the country running the football, 29th throwing the football with two NFL talent level wide receivers and Rocco Beck being able to sling the football. They're going to be okay. Abu Sama, too, running the ball. I like Carson Hansen also in their dual threat backfield. I like their odds against this Miami defense, though I do want to give the Hurricanes some credit here. It's not a bad unit altogether.
Last one, and this one is probably the most fun question. Florida State fans have certainly given Miami some grief over the bowl that they're playing in, and Florida State doesn't have a lot of room to talk after going 10-2 or 2-10. However, we have kind of laughed at the fact that it is the Pop-Tart Bowl. I'm a s'mores guy. What's your favorite Pop-Tart, Drake?
Oh, the s'mores one's good. I used to, every day I'd drive, I wouldn't drive, I was like 9. We would drive to school, my dad would, and I would drink a Capri Sun and eat a Pop-Tart, and more days than not, it was the brown sugar cinnamon. So for nostalgia purposes, s'mores was up there. It was always in the car every now and then. I'm going to go brown sugar cinnamon, but you best not toast it. Don't you dare toast it. I'm eating that thing raw. That's how I want it.
My wife is a huge fan of the brown sugar cinnamon. We got one of each, one of brown sugar, one of s'mores this week. They were BOGO at Publix, and my kids ate all the s'mores. And my wife was sad that they liked mine better, but happy that she got to eat all the brown sugar. So
that's awesome.
Where can people follow you? Where can they find your work?
At LO Big 12 on Twitter or at Drake C. Toll on that same platform, and Locked On Big 12 wherever you find your podcast.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.